Welcome to my Storytime window today. Today I thought we could talk about what is now called a spiritual awakening. Back when I had a spiritual awakening, I don't think it was called that. I'm not sure what it was called. But back in the 80s, it was New Age, and we really didn't talk about it. You didn't talk about yoga, meditation, or anything of that nature. You didn't talk about it. Unless you talked to your friends who were also on that path. I came into a spiritual awakening when I was around 12. Before I was 12, I had a few things happen that made me wonder. But when you're that young, you're just not quite sure what's going on with your life. All you're worrying about is a spelling test or something like that. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I was a little bit worried about my actual family life. But we moved to a new place further west. I believe that our house was haunted. And I began to really see things that were a little strange. I saw phantoms and orbs. I would see black shadows out the corner of my eye, and then I would look and there was nothing there. I would have someone call my name and I look around and there's nobody there. Once again, I wasn't afraid. I was very curious about this. I remember asking my parents, and they really weren't into that sort of thing. But they didn't discount it. They just said, don't worry about it. It's nothing. Just ignore it. And I did. I blocked it out most of the time, until one night, once again, I was laying in my bed. I had that dream of the witch in my bed. I know it wasn't a dream. I'm not quite sure what that was. I was curious about that. But I let that go, and I thought it was really cool, a cool dream. I wasn't scared of witches, wasn't scared of any of that sort of thing. Actually, I was very curious. One night, I'm sleeping in my bed. And something brings me out of my sleep slowly. I was sleeping deeply, and I remember coming awake, but I was very sleepy. And I laid there and I felt as if someone was watching me. And I opened my eyes. And at the foot of my bed, I thought I saw something. Just faintly standing there, staring at me. So I closed my eyes. And I took a deep breath. And I said, nothing's there. Nothing's there. And I opened my eyes. And there was something standing there, staring at me. So I laid there and I wasn't in sleep paralysis, but I was very still. My heart was beating pretty fast. And then I looked, and then I kind of softened my gaze. And I could see him standing there. It was a Native American man in full Native American dress. He had the long feathered bonnet on, and he had breastplate, bone breastplate, and I remember his pants. He had pants on, and he had a shirt on, and he had adornments, necklaces, bracelets. He was all dressed up. And I'm like thinking to myself, who is that? He had his arms folded and his chest, he was very puffed out. He was very serious. He did have a little gleam in his eye, and he didn't look mean or angry or anything of that nature. But he was stern, and he was staring at me. And I got chills. I remember getting chills up and down my spine, my hair raised up on the back of my neck. And I closed my eyes and I'm all, who are you? Who are you? And I was basically saying this inside my head. And inside my head, I heard him tell me in such a way that I could understand that for the most part, he was my earth guardian. He was like a protector. He made me understand that I loved the earth so much. I loved animals. I've always loved trees and gave them hugs. And I'd go sit down in the park and I'd sit and I'd just watch the creek. There was a little creek, and there was animals, and this Native American man came to me and basically told me that he's my spirit guide. At the time, I didn't quite understand that for what he was. But he came to me and he said he was protecting me. And basically, from what I gathered living in this house, the house is on Indian burial grounds. The whole neighborhood was kind of spooky. My house was kind of spooky. Things would get moved around in the house. The TV would go on and off by itself. And it was on a turntable. It was an old-fashioned TV and it had a turntable. And we would remember turning it such a way to aim towards the couch, and then it would be aimed towards the other couch. The opposite way. We would lose things and then they would just reappear. One time one of our cars started all by itself in the garage. It's a very strange place. It wasn't bad. But I was little at the time and I was growing up, but I was still little and I still didn't quite understand what was going on. So I decided, why am I seeing this stuff? Why did I see the witch in my bed? Why am I seeing a Native American man in my bedroom? And I went to the library and I decided to look up and read some books on this stuff. I went to the New Age section and I checked out a bunch of books on New Age, on witchcraft topics, on Wiccan topics, anything of that nature. I checked them all out and I read through them, and a lot of these books went along with my beliefs that I was beginning to have. I've never needed a book to tell me what to believe in. I've always just taken what I've read, kind of what I thought I believed in, and I've always held true to my belief in my heart of the great spirit of the earth, and the moon and the stars and the universe. That's what I've held true to my heart. As for the Native American man, he's always been with me. I've always called on him for earth meditation and grounding. From then on, I acquired some other guardian angels. And I will talk about them as I go into my videos. Much later in my life, I looked up who this Native American man could have been. And what I gathered was a Native American man named Standing Buffalo. He looks just like the man in my visions, although he's from the Minnesota area. That's who it looked like. And I did go into a meditation and I talked to him, and from what I gathered, that's who it is. I have another Native American woman that helps me write, and I will talk about her because she's a really cool spirit guide. I will be bringing a more advanced meditation where we can go in and actually meet our spirit guides, our guardians, angels, and you can talk to them, you can ask them questions and messages. I'm going to end this story here. If you could please like and subscribe down below, just push the little buttons. I would be very grateful for that. I really like getting out my stories to the world and how I've come to experience all that I've experienced and more. I have some fun videos coming up. I'm learning how to be more comfortable in front of the camera. If you would like to tell me a story that brought you to a spiritual journey, a spiritual awakening, I would love to hear that. And if it's a really cool story, it's not too long, I could put it in my video. I will bring you that and more as time goes on, and maybe we can tell each other our stories. Please remember to ask the universe. Ask the universe a little bit every day. And if you can, a good way to ask the universe for things to come into your life, always make sure that you release any old residual energy through meditation, just sitting and releasing and informing yourself to release, bring in, cleanse and bless yourself, your life. Send a little bit out to your friends and family. And if you can get a book or a journal, get a little book, start writing some things down, some notes, some poetry, a story, some memories that you remember, maybe that brought you to where you are now, into wanting to do meditation and sitting and releasing negative energy, old residual energy that you don't need anymore. You have to release this energy so more positive stuff can come in. You have to. So, until next time, I will see you again soon. Thank you. The house is on Indian burial.